Welcome to the Agency Insider podcast today. We have a special guest, Bibi, also known as Bibi the Link Builder. Bibi is an expert in SEO and link building, known for her creative and rather edgy tactics. Today, we will delve into her journey, explore her innovative techniques, and gain insight into the future of link building. Let's get started. Hi, Bibi.
Hello. Hi.
So, can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got started in SEO and specifically link building?
Yeah, so I won't go too far back because that's kind of boring, but I'll make it short. So basically, I dropped out of university and then I had a lot of odd jobs. And eventually, I realized I wanted to work from home to be with my kids, my baby. So I became a social media marketer, a Facebook marketer from a company called Klein Trucks. They're a worldwide group in truck trading. And I even wanted to have more freedom. So then I Googled how to make money online and I got into affiliate sites and I got in contact with other affiliate site owners and they asked me to build links for them and it was good pay, so I thought like I'll do that while I work on my own sites. That last part never really happened because I got so busy that yeah, only did links.
Okay. Okay, and so what were some of the biggest challenges you faced early on?
Yeah, so I don't want to complain, but I always had clients before I knew I wanted to business, right? And it was always inbound leads, which is great. But in the beginning, I wasn't really great at organizing stuff, not great at project management. So I got way too many projects and didn't, how to execute them efficiently. And I
Okay.
think that was one of the biggest challenges where I really made a mess of things and got really behind on links and all that stuff. But then I connected with my now business partner, and he's good at the operations side of things, like the project management stuff. So that really saved it a lot. So that was one of the biggest challenges.
Okay, okay. So, and of course, besides the money, what else inspired you to focus specifically on link builder in a broader SEO field?
Um, well, it was to be honest, it wasn't really a conscious choice. It was just something specialization, right? Because people asked me for it and I was good at it. I think it's one of the things that a lot of SEOs avoid to do because you have to deal with editors and actual humans instead of doing everything on your computer. So it wasn't a conscious choice. It was just something I was able to do. And it does sort of help to really specialize into something. So you're not responsible for 10 million things. You're just responsible for this one set of deliverables, and people are willing to pay maybe a bit more than they would for all round stuff.
Right. Okay, that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about your specialty, which is of course link building.
Yeah.
Yes. So you discuss a lot of link building techniques like shotgun, sniper. So can you explain to our listeners what exactly these strategies are and how do you use for different clients?
Yeah. So I never talked about shotgun, to be honest. So I don't know where you read that because I don't know where you got that from, the shotgun stuff. Yeah.
That other strategies you follow for link building, like not shotgun, but otherwise, what kind of a link building techniques you follow? This just simple find a website, outreach them, or there is another way also.
Yeah, basically I specialize in two types of link building. One is guest post outreach, and
Okay.
the other one is creating linkable assets that are easy to build links to or get links passively. So those are the two main link building strategies.
So that means you help clients with content as well.
Yeah, yeah. I used to do
Okay.
only the ideas, but lately we've also gotten into creating more of the assets ourselves.
Okay. So can you take us through a workflow? How does that go about for our audience? The,
You mean the guest post outreach or the linkable asset stuff?
linkable assets.
Oh yeah. It's always hard to talk about it theoretically, so I usually like to take a more practical approach. So we can take you say a niche, and I'll try to talk you through what I would do for that niche.
Okay. Let's take a legal niche.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I have legal clients. So first we help determine the target page. Sometimes the client already has target pages. Other times we do the analysis and we help determine it. And if it's a really commercial page, it can be harder to build links to it. So then we look what are any supporting pages, right? That can help.
Right.
And sometimes it also helps to create new content if there are no supportive pages that we think are easy to build links to. And what I
Okay.
usually do is that use Ahrefs a lot, especially the content, yeah, especially the content explorer. But we always do a brainstorm session with our team, so we do like 2 to 3 brainstorm sessions. And I use Ahrefs a lot, but they use other methods. Some of them use TikTok or AI, or just their common sense, or they ask their friends and family. And then we get a sheet together and just dump ideas. And it's a very free brainstorm session, so there's no judgment.
Okay.
Usually the ideas start really close to the product or service. So if it's a legal thing, it might be anything around the legal service. But then when you go further down the brainstorm sheets, as your mind starts working, right, you come to more topics that are more tangentially relevant or satellite topics. So that's the first session. We just dump a lot of ideas. So that's usually between 60 and 80 ideas. Then
Okay.
go through the validation phase, and there we look for any indication that an idea might work. So I use Content Explorer, so I would look if the idea, something similar exists already, and if it's getting a lot of links or Twitter or tweets or Pinterest shares or something like that. And but you can also look at TikTok, right, to see if it gets a lot of likes there or something like that. So that's the validation phase. It doesn't mean though that everything has to already have proof. Sometimes you really know something is a good idea and it hasn't been done before, but you just know in your gut that it will work. So we put all these validation things in the sheet, and then we make a short list of the things that we think will work, will be easy to build links to or get a lot of passively. And then we run them by the client. And out of these 6, 7 ideas, they choose 1 or 2
Mhm.
and we run with it. So that's basically the process. Of course, you can do outreach for the linkable assets to boost them up or to see
Yeah,
how.
that's what I was coming to. So
Yeah.
once the linkable asset is live, what is the next step? Do you do outreach or you just leave it out there hoping somebody will catch it?
It depends a little bit on the strength of the domain, or how easy we think it will be to get picked up. But we usually build a couple of links to it just to get it going, right? And I think
Okay.
also it's a great way to get some proof, because when you do outreach and everybody, nobody likes the linkable asset, then it's not going to happen. You have to change it, or you have to come up with something else. It's a little bit of an experiment because sometimes they fail and sometimes they work.
So when you are doing this outreach for a linkable assets, is this a different way of outreach when you are outreaching for, let's say, a guest post link? So the pitching and the whole thing is different, or it's almost same?
No, it's a difference because you need to, the value proposition is different. So why would somebody link to your linkable assets?
Okay.
Sometimes there's an overlap because the
Mhm.
linkable assets, they don't have content that really would link out to the linkable asset.
Right.
So then you pitch to write something that could link to the linkable asset. So then it's sort of like a guest post linkable asset out.
Right. Normally, what people do is when they build a linkable asset, then they reach out to journalists or other websites to share some snippets of it or to talk about it. Is that what you also do?
Yeah, it depends a little bit on what type of linkable asset it is, right? So you could reach out to journalists, but also to industry leaders or
Mhm.
to companies that maybe, if it's around the legal niche, there might be something in there that helps their audience avoid legal costs,
Mhm.
something about liability. So then you
Okay.
can reach out to companies that cater to the same type of audience. So let's say that there's a new regulation around taxes or something, and you know that if somebody isn't aware of those regulations, they could get into legal trouble. So you reach out to accounting software to inform their clients that this is happening, so they don't run the risk of all those legal problems.
Okay. So it's something close to kind of digital PR, right? Not
Um,
exactly the work, but the asset building.
Yeah, so I'm not a super expert in digital PR. I do want to get into it, so I'm following Gabriela Cove. I really like her. She's from Bright Valley Marketing. You should get her on this, by the way. She's great. Yeah, and she does a PR outreach. And I always was very hesitant about reaching out to a lot of journalists, but she told me it's basically the same, right? The message should be a little bit shorter, more to the point, but at the same time, it's really the same. So yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was. My next question was thought of going into digital PR because because honestly that's where the money is.
Yeah, I think I don't know if that's if I would make not sure if I would make more because my prices are the same. I will always charge the same price. But I think
Okay.
I might be able to save on labor cost because the guest post outreach is quite labor intensive. Especially the
Okay.
way I do it because I usually go for unpaid links, right? So if you do paid links, it's quite easy. But because I go mostly for unpaid links, you go through a whole editorial process with the link
Right.
prospect as well. That can be a total nightmare.
Right. So what are the biggest challenges you face when working with clients on link building?
With clients? You mean like challenges in working with clients?
Yes. So
Okay, sorry.
challenges in terms of they not accepting some kind of link or their expectations and your delivery being mismatch or they are very clear.
Yeah, unfortunately, that does happen. I try to minimize it as much as possible. So, for instance, when a lead comes in, I send them a list of 25 questions, and it's a list so I learn more about the lead and they learn more about me and to see if we're a match, right? Because I don't want to work with somebody who doesn't really understand how I work or what to expect. But still, there can be some problems with that. And I think it's to avoid that. I think it's really important to talk a lot in the beginning, to have a lot of communication, and also to feel like it's a very safe environment. So if they're not happy with the link or something else is a problem, that they can say it to me and then I can correct course, right? Or I can explain things. So the biggest challenge I think is the communicational differences sometimes. Sometimes I assume something is completely clear, and for instance, if I do pay for a link, which does sometimes happen, it's at my cost. So I pay for the link and I'm not going to ask the client to pay for the link. So it's not extra cost. But for some reason, even though I think I've explained it a lot, the client still thinks that they have to pay for the link. And I'm like, no, it's all included. And it's so weird because I now feel like it's at 10 different points in the contract, in my services page, on the onboarding call. So maybe it's me. I sometimes maybe I'm not clear or something. So yeah, communication.
Okay. And so normally the link building agencies sell link based on their parameters like domain ratings or organic traffic. So what exactly the parameters you generally have for these links which you are building?
Yeah, so I'm not metrics focused. So I focus more on authenticity and relevance. So that's what I look for in sites. But some clients do want to follow a minimum, and that's usually DR 25 and traffic 1,000. That's then the minimum. And I also vet the sites, for outgoing links if they're a link seller and all those things. But it's not metrics focused.
Okay, so are there any other methods you use to ensure quality and relevancy of the links you build for the clients?
Yeah, so I look at the outbound links if they're selling to gambling and that kind of stuff, right? Sensitive niches. I look at the traffic flow if it goes down or is increasing or other things. And but we also look at the site itself. So if it fits the target page, if it's relevant, and if it's not a random site. So you have these sites that they talk about businesses and then they talk about dildos, and I'm like, yeah, that's random. That's not gonna fit.
Right.
That's clearly not a really focused site or anything. What else do we look for? We also look for how they reply in the inbox. So if a reply comes back from a site and they're like, yeah, and I have 25 other sites, then I'm like,
That's
no, maybe not. And it's not that I don't mind if somebody's asking for money for a link, but I do mind when they don't have any criteria for the buyer. So If a site is very, very, very easy to get a link on, even if you're paying, then it's usually a red flag for me.
Right, right. Makes sense. Now, so you are known for your creative outreach, of
Yeah.
course. We're gonna go a little bit into it.
Yeah.
So, of course, your outreach emails are known for being highly creative and humorous. Can you share some examples of your most successful outreach campaign and what made them stand out?
Yeah, so I gotta give props to my team because I don't create the templates anymore most of the time. So
Okay.
that's been for a couple of years now. So the team does. And the
Mhm.
people I hire, they're usually very creative. Sometimes they're copywriters, right? And their templates, they can be funny, but they're not always funny. They're always very much focused on the prospect, what's going on their end of the inbox. And let me think about, yeah. So I think one template that works really well is in the photography niche, and it reaches out to blogs that talk about photography or photograph software and all that kind of stuff. And it's a little bit flirty. So in the subject line, it starts with what's it now? Let's go in a dark room and see what develops. And when I saw that first for the template for the first time, I really thought, oh no, we can't do this. This is just this is not good. And then the person that created the template said, yeah, but we already sent this out and we got a really high response rate. And I think the template worked well because it was a dad joke a little bit. It was a little bit cheesy, but it was also a little bit flirty, but not creepy. And also the person that sends it is a woman. So that's, I think if you send it as a man, it's a whole different vibe. It's very targeted for the photography niche. So it had all these references to photos in it. So I think that worked really well. Another one that worked really well was, I think it was going to marketing websites, and this was from another team member of mine, Sammy. Was it Sammy? Yeah, I think so. And the whole template was based on storytelling, which back then was a big hype in the marketing. And what he did was he made the template sequence like chapters in a book. So the first email was called chapter 1, and it had a photo in it, or an image in it, of a typewriter, like a really old-fashioned typewriter, and a greeting for the person was on the paper in the typewriter. And then the second email was chapter 2, and then final chapter was the last follow-up. And he just told this whole story through sequence, which I thought was really cool, and that worked really well.
So that was for a marketing niche.
Yeah, that was for the marketing niche.
Okay. So those are interesting takes
Yeah.
on outreach.
Yeah, and what I've learned through the years is that sometimes I don't think a template will work, but then I'm wrong, you know? And I also teach other agencies how to write emails, and I never show them examples, I never show them templates, because I think everybody should find a way of writing emails that fits them. Because if you're trying to do something else, if you're trying to be Seth Godin or whatever, it's not going to work. You really have to find your own kind of hook.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So do you do agency trainings as well, as you said? Okay. We'll
Yeah.
we'll come into a training part shortly where I'll ask.
Oh,
Now
good.
these, yeah, it's the next, but just for the outreach part. So what are some of the common mistakes you see people making in their outreach efforts?
I think one mistake is that they think that, well, two mistakes actually. One is they copy a successful template and then they keep using it. But I think a template does have an expiration date, because for some reason it gets out in the world, it gets used by more and more people. And then the people that receive the email, they start recognizing it. And it doesn't matter how good it sounds or whatever thing you're using in it, it doesn't work anymore. So you just have to keep following the progress of your templates and then change them, right? The other mistake is, wait, what was it now? Oh, I forgot. I had another mistake. Uh, yeah. The other mistake is that people are so obsessed with scaling that they forget about conversion rate. So there's a balance between the two, right? I
Right.
understand scaling, it's very efficient. I think if you go for paid links, it's probably okay. If you send out to people, it's money wise, financially, it makes sense.
Right.
But if you do want to have some sort of unpaid links in there, don't be so obsessed with scaling, but also look at your conversion. And then might be that in the beginning, when you start your campaign, you have to put 4 hours into a template. And it sounds like a lot of work, but if it gets your conversion rates up, it's really worth it. And if it gets you the times that people flag you for spam, if you get that down, it actually also saves you money because you don't have to use another email and have that whole system, set up. So I think people are so focused on scaling, and in every industry, too much focus on scaling is bad. I mean, look at the climate change. This is all about people
Yeah.
not producing shit, right? So we got to go back to a little bit more quality and conversion rate.
Right. And do you think people sometime, I mean, a common mistake which I see is not researching the website, just hitting the info or a contact us email ID. That seems to be a very common mistake, not researching the website and just hitting and the mail and asking for backlinks.
Yeah, I think you have to pay attention to every step of the way. So sometimes people, they're so focused on the outreach that they ask me, how do I create a perfect outreach email? And then I say, well, look at why you're doing it. Why are you doing the outreach? Because if you don't have a good reason why you're reaching out to this type of prospect, it's going to show in your value proposition, right? So start at the beginning of your strategy, or sometimes they will think, "Oh, my email doesn't work, it doesn't convert." But look at the way you're prospecting. Maybe you're only reaching out to sites that will never allow you to guest post or are only obsessed with money, right? Or look at your how you manage the inbox. Sometimes a person's campaign can be so great, and then in the inbox they change the tone of their voice. So they'll reach out with a really heartfelt, serious, warm email, and then a prospect replies, and then they go back to thank you for replying to my email or something. I don't know, and the
Yeah.
person replying to the email is like, this is not the person who I was talking to.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So we don't do any outreach. I mean, we don't take any inbound links or links for page traffic. But I get requests on all of our channels. Sometimes people are so desperate. How much? Just type how much money, how much for. That's it. One
Right.
liner. And they come on my LinkedIn, they come on my
Oh,
Facebook, everywhere. It's a headache. For every day we receive at least 10, 20 of these where people are desperate enough to get the links no matter what. They don't
yeah.
even see we have it or not.
And the thing is also that probably works, right? You just have to do it 1,000 times with a bot or something and it works. But do you
Right.
really want to do that? So you got to pick the method that works well for you. It's
Right.
kind of like guys this is going to be horrible, but guys picking up women in a bar. Some of them are so desperate they just use the same opening line and they like 200 women. Maybe at some point it works, but is that really what you want? So I don't know. Don't be that guy.
Now I have seen not lately, but I've seen a trend where people are where bigger websites now tends to be mailing you for a three-way link. So,
Oh yeah.
or what is your take on it? And have you been doing something like that?
Yeah, so first of all, it's not the websites reaching out to you, it's a link builder. So they're using a link builder to do it. So you're never actually talking to the website itself. Well, sometimes it's in-house, but often it's not. I think it's a really good system. I haven't been able to work it well because I've tried it a little bit working with somebody, but the thing is that I'm very transparent and open to my clients. So I tell them how I'm getting the link, what the deal is. I want the client's approval for where their link is going, how it's placed, and all that stuff. And the people that do three-way systems, not all of them, but a lot of them, they just have a giant list, and they have all these Slack communities and Facebook things and whatever. And I used to very quickly doing like tack 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 tack. They do the three-way exchange, and so if you need your client approval, you're gonna be way too slow, right? And it's a nightmare. But I think if you have a good system and your client is okay with it, and you make
Right.
sure that the placement is correct, I think it's good. Unfortunately, sometimes you can see an article and it's like I don't know, there are like 50 links in there, and it's just a dumping ground to get
Right.
that link quota for the three-way link flops. I think every strategy or method has its merits. It's all in the
Right.
execution, how you do it, right?
Right.
So
Yeah. For example, I've seen people been able to get links from AmericanExpress.com. So imagine.
That's awesome if you do it well.
Yeah. But yeah, there is a method. Of course, it's not straight link building. You will get a quote of your CEO in that with a link. Okay, so we spoke with
Yeah.
Bibi, the builder. How does she use credit cards for like that?
I think it's nice, if it's part of your link mix, I don't see
Yes.
any problem with it. But if it's your only strategy and you're doing it in a way that starts to look more like link wheel, or I don't know, back in the days they were called PBN or whatever, it's just yeah, just be careful.
Right. And now we also see a lot of marketplaces coming up which are just
Oh
selling
yeah.
links, of course, for the money. And I'm sure, but so how what is your take on these? I mean, marketplace versus you hardcore manually doing links.
Yeah, again, I think a couple of links on a marketplace shouldn't be bad if you vet the site real well, and if you keep an eye on it and make sure your placement is relevant and looks natural. However, there are so many people that use these marketplaces over and over and over again. And you can see all the competitors basically have the same links from the same marketplace. And I wonder how valuable it is, and if it can be risky at some point for a penalty. So I would never focus on that as my only link strategy. I would just maybe pick a couple of them that look really good and then do additional ones through other methods. If I have one tip for companies that are getting into link building, is that I would just start it yourself first and fail, maybe, so you understand how it works. And then you might be able then decide that you don't want to do it and hire a link builder or an agency or whatever. But if you do it yourself first, then really look at the links easy links that you're not getting. So I've been consulting Amnesty International at this point, and you would think that they get easy links or whatever, and they actually do. But there are so many links that they could have gotten that they just leave on the table. So it's their existing network or something, or they get a mention somewhere and they don't go and try to get the link or whatever. So always look at your own network first and what links you're forgetting about that you could easily get yourself.
Right. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about training and team building. Of
Cool.
course. Yeah. So you, of course, how important do you think training teams in link building is? And do you train your people? Do you have SOPs, or how do you do that onboarding process?
Yeah, so I think before I hire people, I usually do a test to see if they can follow instructions, but also to see if they have some creative bone in their body. And the test is actually really close to what they would be doing. So it's basically writing an email to a specific site. And then I also tell them don't use anything you see online, don't use any template, just write an email. So the people that I think the recruitment is really important, because if somebody doesn't have that little spark, or doesn't know how to write good casual English, it's going to take you so much time to teach them that, if you can even teach them that, right? So that's really important. And then when I train them, they can choose to do well, I train them on all aspects of link building, but then they can choose if they want to focus on the creative stuff or just the data stuff, or do both of them, because you can't be creative all day. Sometimes you need some brainless stuff to do. Actually data stuff isn't brainless, by the way. It's really hard. So what I do then, but let's focus on the creative stuff, right? Because that's usually the hardest thing, is that I start with bespoke emails. So bespoke emails are emails you only send to one site. And your whole email needs to be absolutely bespoke. It cannot be sent to another health site or to another legal site. So they really have to go into the site and research and then write the email and whatever. And it has to sound okay. And then I give feedback, and then we go through revisions. And they write about 5 to 10 bespoke emails. And the cool thing is that when you focus on a specific niche, but you are writing bespoke emails, that there's some pattern that comes up, because you're writing to the same type of sites, but it's bespoke for every site. But then you start seeing, oh, they all have green smoothies, right? And then you are ready to actually create a template, but you've done the research in a niche. You know how to write a bespoke email that breaks you out of some kind of box where about what you think an email should be. And then they write a template. And then that goes to revisions as well. What we also do in the training usually is that when they write the bespoke email, when it's okay, when it's 80% okay, we send it out just to see what happens. Bespoke emails actually have a really high conversion rate, but they take too much time and headspace. It's like, yeah. So a template is a nice in between thing. Yeah.
So what skill sets beside creativity and you look when you are hiring a person for link building?
Yeah, so ideally somebody should be very communicative. They can be introvert, right? But they need to feel okay to ask questions or give a heads up when they're having problems and all this stuff. I think it's really important because all the people I work with are remote. If they don't communicate with me, I have no idea what's going on. And of course, I understand if you're having a difficult time in your life or something happens, but please tell me, right? Because we're depending on you. So that's
Right.
something I learned the hard way to really look for in a person. So
Okay.
sometimes when I do a test for the recruitment, if I hire new people, I actually mess up the test and they have to ask me, I can't access this thing or I can't, that's a way for me to see are they communicating if they're stuck. So communicative skills. The other thing is attention to detail. And that's also
Okay.
really important. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah. And it's something I also do test in the recruitment. So I ask for specific. So for instance, if I post a job post, it's a really long job post and you have to read all the way through it. And there's also a video in it that introduces where I introduce myself. But the
Okay.
actual test is hidden in the video at the end of the video. So the person has to watch the whole video and then actually notice that the test is there. And then they have to take action based on that. So that's how I test attention for detail.
Okay. And so how do you keep your team motivated and up to date with latest SEO trends?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we're link builders mostly, so we're not that involved in on-page SEO, and we don't follow SEO trends that much. We should probably do more, but in a day-to-day work, it doesn't. There's not always time to do it. So I do post stuff about SEO, and I have them go through Ahrefs training videos and all this stuff. I don't think they're like hardcore SEO experts, and I'm not either. But the team building part, that's something that's been really nice. So at some point, I realized that I can't really promote people. They're just kind of stuck in their job. And nobody really. You can become a team lead, but actually don't need that many team leads. I have three. Wait, yeah, I have two team leads. That's enough, right? So then I read this book called The Dream Manager, and it was a book with a story about a big cleaning company where they had a huge turnover. So they had like, I don't know, people would how do you say, quit their jobs a lot. So what they did, they hired a dream manager, and all the dream manager did was coach people on realizing their dreams. And it could be anything, right? So it could be personal, business, whatever. So what we did was then we organized a group and we invited people. It was voluntary, and all they do is that the first session they write down 100 dreams in different categories. So it's like physical appearance, family, money, travel, all those kind of things, education. And they never get to 100 dreams, but they just get to a lot. And then with the group together, we pick out 3 dreams, and then we identify what would be the first step to do this, right? To get to this dream. Sometimes it's research, sometimes it's a daily action or whatever. And every week we have like a half hour to 45 minutes where everybody says what they've done in terms of their dreams and what they're doing that week. And that's all we do. And then we have a channel, sort of like an accountability channel, and people post every day what they've done. And I think that really, really helps with team building because you get to know each other, but also you get the feeling that you're also a human. You're not just somebody, not just an employee, and you can bring your dreams to work, right? And I think that's one of the reasons that I think some people I don't pay enough. I would like to pay them more, but I don't have that money. But they still stay and do the job because they get that feeling that they can also achieve other things than just, money stuff.
That's a
But
very unique thing I heard in all my podcasts recently, honestly.
Yeah, yeah, it's not yeah, I like it. Oh, we also
So,
do games and all that stuff, but it's just
okay.
yeah.
So all your people work from office or they are work from home as
They all work from home. Yeah. So we've got people working in the Philippines, Trinidad, Spain, US, yeah, and me from the Netherlands.
well? So how many people team you have now?
I think we now have 21. We used to have 30, but it became really hard to manage for me. Well, I wasn't managing them, but it was just I realized this is too big, and uh, yeah. So then we did have to let people go, and we became smaller. But
Okay.
I like it.
Okay. So let's talk about next tools and techniques. I know
Frozen.
you've been a fan of Witchbox, but can you share some other tools which you find indispensable for your link building campaigns and why you prefer them? Except Witchbox and Ahrefs, which of course stands to be your favorite.
Yeah, so I'm a minimalist with tools, especially.
Okay.
So I always try to not a lot of tools. I know that there are amazing tools out there, but I just like to not use a lot. So we use ClickUp for project management and
Okay.
Slack for communication. I think that's it. Oh, and
Okay.
Midjourney. Oh, Midjourney, we also use it.
For images creation. So
Come.
ChatGPT.
Oh yeah, and AI tools. Yeah, so we use Gemini, Claude, yeah, all
Okay.
those.
So, are there any innovative techniques you are currently experimenting in your link building efforts?
Yeah, so I got inspired by Stacy McNaught. She is also a PR link builder, and she creates images for clients that get used in newspapers and stuff. And I really like that. So with her blessing, I'm trying that out too. Of course, it's just way harder than I thought it would be. And
Okay,
every time you talk to a specialist, like a PR link builder, they're like, "Oh yeah, it's you just do this and this easy." And then you start doing it and then you find out like okay this is not
that
what
easy.
yeah so but she uses AI to create those images, so I've been doing that too. Yeah, and other novel, yeah, mainly the novel link builder stuff is that I use AI for image generation. So for one client I did it was around dating, and we did odd couples with Midjourney. We generated weird couples, so for instance the clown from It dating Winnie the Pooh, things like that. Yeah. What else? No, I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay. And what do you enjoy most about your work in link building?
I don't like the pressure. I know you asked me what I enjoy. So one of the things that sometimes is really grinding and dragging is just constant pressure to deliver links, right? And it is becoming harder and harder. So when I started in link building, it was easier, but people back then were already saying it's hard. So this was like I don't know, like 6 years ago or something, and now it's just harder and harder. So that's what I don't like. But what I do like is that I email people. An email is one of the most hated things on the planet, but it gives me a huge kick when prospects actually thank me for the email. It's like I'm doing cold email. I'm basically spamming you, and you're thanking me for the email. That gives me a lot of like a rush. So I love doing it. And what I also love is because I don't focus on one niche. I do things like adult toys, and then I do supplements, and then I do accounting software, and then I do legal. Is that you get an insight in all these different businesses and learn how they make money or what kind of weird things are going on in that business.
Use these insights for your advantage besides link building.
No, but it does make me, yeah, I do definitely want to do something else next to link building, to learn more about and have an income and stuff. But I should, because it's interesting for sure.
So you said you started with affiliate marketing. So do you still do that or no time for that?
No, so that's something I really regret, because when I started with affiliate sites, I knew how to get a lot of traffic, but I never thought about the monetization. So then I was like, okay, I'm getting a lot of traffic. now what? So and at the time when I started to monetize, then people asked me to build links for them. So then I just did that. And all my affiliate sites died. I just neglected them and a lot of bad stuff and whatever. So I wanted to get back into affiliate sites. So I was talking to Gail Breton, from Authority Hackers and all this stuff. But then all these updates happened, and now I'm like, okay, now
Right.
what? So then I
Now,
tried. Sorry.
I said now is not the right time.
No, now I don't know. Yeah, I think now it might not be the right time. But then I was like, maybe I'll try TikTok, because and then I thought,
Okay.
oh, TikTok, it's really toxic. It's addictive. Do I really want to do this? So I'm at this point, I'm 49, where I'm thinking, do I really want to make people buy stuff that don't need, you know? So I'm having a little bit of a marketing crisis. I want to make money, but at the same time, I don't want to get more crap into the world.
Okay. So what do you believe are the most underrated aspects of link building that more people should focus on?
I think one is the prospecting. So if you're always prospecting in the same way and you're getting the same results back, it might not be your outreach, it might actually be the way you're prospecting. So for instance, people do a lot of topical based prospecting where they're like, I want to find everybody who talks about hair loss. So I'm going to prospect on these keywords around hair loss, right? Which is fine, but everybody else is doing that.
Right.
So maybe instead of doing hair loss, you should look at the audience. Which companies have the same audience, but they're not competing with you? Maybe it's people that produce massaging oils, right? Because if you have hair loss, one of the tips is to massage your head with oils. So if you reach out to companies that produce these massaging oils, yeah, they might not be ranking on the exact keyword that you want to rank for, or they might not have giant amounts of traffic. It might just be a small massage oil producer somewhere, but they still have your audience, and it's a real authentic and relevant link. So I think the prospecting is important to switch that up a little bit. And the
Okay.
other part is the inbox management, because I really think people lose links there as well, and it's a
Okay.
pity.
Right. Right. Now, future of SEO and link building. So what do you how do you see the field of link building evolving in next 5 to 10 years?
I mean, I'm really bad at futures.
Okay, let me rephrase if you want. How do you see it has evolved after the Google March update? So has it your has the has your the business gone up or has it gone down? People are scared to get into backlinks or SEO. So if you can throw some
It's
light on.
I want to say it's volatile. So I get leads, they want to spend a lot of money, but then another client pauses because they're scared. They want to focus on other stuff. So it's very volatile. Or a person, so it's not necessarily less or something, but it's kind of more unpredictable. People
Right.
make really fast decisions, and that's kind of hard. For the future of links, I don't know. It's so every couple of months one method is dead, and then they hail the other method. So for instance, for a little short while, guest posting was kind of like frowned upon, mainly because people were doing a lot of paid guest posts. But then somebody found something in the Google release where it said, oh, guest posts might be okay, so now everybody wants to do guest posts again. And I think if you want to future proof yourself, just don't rely on one strategy. Yes, you have to focus on a strategy to learn how to do it well, but then start building up your portfolio and do a couple of more different things.
That makes sense. And so can you share some tips for the people who want to get started into link building?
Link building for themselves or like as a business,
Or as an agency?
as an agency, I would say ideas first. So make sure that you invest time and have the skills to come up with great ideas, and then use different link methods. Because I think that is what speaks to clients. If you show that you understand where they're coming from and that you have ideas for where to take it next. That's something that they like. They like that attention. Yeah. So if you start a link building, you should maybe start talking about specific ideas you have for the medical niche or specific ideas you have for whatever.
So how do you get, of course, you started 6 years back. How do you get more leads from? Is it from referrals? Is it from agencies? So what kind of a breakup, if you can
Yeah,
share?
most of my links are inbound. I think it's mostly referrals, but I also think podcasts work really well. So like this, right? Yeah, so you gotta put yourself out there and build up a name, but start with your own network and yeah, go from there.
Yeah. Okay. And any must-read book or website recommendations? Because that's a question I love to ask. Because sometimes I ask and some people say, reading? I'm not into reading, but I guess you are into reading.
Yeah, I do read, but I only read zombie books. I don't read like really. Oh yeah, I did the forward for the Ahrefs book, SEO for Beginners.
Right.
It's kind of
Right.
fun.
We have
But
it in our office. Yes.
cool. Oh, I love that. But I think for websites, I really like exploding topics, although lately there's something weird going on. But I would, yeah, I would just follow those kind of trends, aggregation sites. I don't know. Do you know any other ones that are good? Because I think I only know exploding topics, but
No, I think that's good enough. But for the book you did mention the Dream Manager. I think that's a good book. I haven't read, but
oh yeah, the Dream Manager. That's a good one.
I'll put the link right in the comments below, so
Yeah,
the readers can find it. The book
yeah,
sound very interesting, right?
and find industry leaders in other niches. I think so. That's the websites I always follow when I try to come up with link building campaigns. Is that I look at what's going on in SaaS, or what's going on in this industry. That really helps. Don't
Right.
stick in the SEO bubble.
Right. That is absolutely true. So with that, we come to the end of this interesting session.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bibi, for sharing your insights and experience with us today. It's been a pleasure having you on the show. Where can our listeners find you online and learn more about you?
Yeah, just go to bbuzz.com and Google Bibi the Link Builder, and you'll probably find some weird. Oh yeah, I started a YouTube channel. Nobody watches it, by the way, so please go watch
I
it.
watched it. You made me watch it.
What? Oh, that's so nice. I don't know. So I wanted to learn about video editing, and that's why I started the channel. It's called Spam or Jam, and I just talk about email. And we also try not to just do outreach emails, but also look at sales emails or things like that. And then I have a guest. It's always really short, like 8 minutes. We go through the email, and then my feedback is mostly on the screen, so I don't talk, but it's all on the screen as comments when you see the email. But the guests, they give their feedback and they give recommendations. So I had
I've seen that. Right.
yeah,
It was funny and interesting. Right. It
yeah,
was
it's cool. Yeah, it got
kind of
Mark Webster.
yes,
Yeah, Mark Webster, Sam all was on it. So
yes, yes. I saw that. I saw
okay, cool. You should be on there.
Why not? Why not?
Yeah, it would be fun.
Yeah, next time, why not? Whenever you want, I'll be.
Yeah, awesome.
Okay. So thank you to our listeners for tuning into the Agency Insider podcast, and be sure to check out Bibi Revan's work, her YouTube channel, and stay tuned for our next episode. Until next time, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good questions.